yesterday's. It's Friday, October 11. Wall Street Journal back in the patch. Here is a great article about that's going to help us shape. We're going to actually be able to see the global energy rainbow, that glorious puff the magic dragon of which I have spoken many a time. The global energy rainbow, the GER, the GER. Let's go ahead and, as they would say in Wall Street, provide some color toward that. And there's a great article, and I'm going to give everyone credit that deserves it, because I have to tell you, folks, the opportunity here is pretty amazing. I wish I would have read the article from a few days ago that basically described the United States emergence as the number one energy producer, as startling, which it may be. But this article looks like the series is called Global Positioning. I'm going to guess that is a series that the Wall Street Journal is doing. Global Positioning. Okay. Middle East oil fuels fresh China-U.S. tensions. And that's the headline. It's on the front page, Wall Street Journal, Friday, October 11, below the fold, by the way, great slang, below the fold. This is written by Brian Spiegel in Beijing, and Matt Bradley in Amman, Iraq. Wow, wicked. Jesus, they've dispatched some wicked reporters to the field. This, by the way, we don't even know what dispatch and patch it is, and we don't care. Here's the title of the article. Middle East oil fuels fresh China-U.S. tensions. Okay, get ready to rock and roll. Here we go. Cleared it out. We're going to throw with a big hubbub. China is overtaking the U.S. as a buyer of Middle East oil, adding fuel to diplomatic tension between the nations over security in the region. China surpassed the U.S. as importer of Persian Gulf crude several years ago by some measures. Now it is on track to overtake the U.S. this year as the world's number one buyer of oil from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. That's OPEC, the largely Middle Eastern energy exporting bloc. They say largely Middle Eastern energy exporting bloc because there are some non-Middle Eastern countries that are a part of OPEC. I didn't even know that, but they're out there. I know there's some in Africa, maybe Nigeria or something, Zimbabwe, I don't know, and I think maybe Venezuela is, I don't know. It's all unbelievable, because this really is, best I can tell, a glorious blending of capitalism and the human condition, and I know that with the proper cracking of the code, as they would say in the patch. When they crack the code of the shale, it all gets flowing. And when we get this thing cracked, it's all going to make sense, and that's going to require some time, some effort. I expect effort. We're at 4 minutes past the hour here, so let's just continue. The turnabout has added to tensions because it leaves the U.S. military securing China's growing oil shipments in the region at a time Beijing resists U.S. pressure on it to back American foreign policy in the Middle East. Folks, I swear to you, if I could chart this on a map, I would, because we can keep up with it. It's priceless, the irony that life delivers, especially since it's now 4 minutes and 20 seconds past the hour, and I shit you not. The irony has now been double-dipped. But here, let me just give you a quick turn of events here. Catch this irony. Right now, as we all know, the United States military secures our oil interests in the Middle East. And since China is now buying more of that Middle Eastern oil, we are now basically using our military to guard our shipments of oil that we still need, as well as China's basically playing us right now. They're not having to pay a toll, it sounds like. All this, I'm sure, will get worked out. I'm sure they'll build a big turnpike. That's what I'd do. I'd build a big turnpike and say, all right, who's ready to get tuned up? It's going to be called the Turnpike Tune-Up. You don't even have to trademark that one. May not work, but you give it a shot. Okay, so let's continue. The turnabout has added to tensions because it leaves the U.S. military securing China's growing oil shipments in the region at a time Beijing resists U.S. pressure on it to back American foreign policy in the Middle East. For years, China and other oil-consuming nations have benefited as Washington spent billions of dollars a year to police choke points like the Strait of Hormuz and other volatile parts of the Middle East to ensure oil flowed around the globe. But the rise of North America's shale oil and gas industry has put the U.S. on track to pass Russia this year as the world's largest combined producer of oil and gas, if it hasn't done so already, according to a recent analysis of global data by the Wall Street Journal. Bib, this is huge. That rise, combined with flat U.S. oil consumption, that's huge, in case no one caught that, is making America far less dependent on imported oil, including from the Middle East, even as China's reliance on the region's oil grows. See where this story's headed? Pretty wicked. We're getting ready to turn the page, so hang with us. We're only at 6 minutes past the hour, so you're okay. We're at 6 minutes and 32 seconds past the hour, so the 4 people that were in the audience when we started the show have clearly already left the arena. So is Elvis. That didn't matter. China's OPEC, we continue, by the way. China's OPEC crude imports during this year's, and we turn the page, watch this, shout out to Bob Seeger. If anyone caught that, please let me know the next time you send a postcard to the Buchanan Street balcony, and I'll give you the address later, because our first bake-off is getting ready to happen. It's going to be Blueberry Bake-Off, Buchanan Street balcony. Middle East oil fuels, China-U.S. tensions. Okay, shit, I'm going to go back to the first page and reread this. China's OPEC crude imports during this year's first half averaged 3.7 million barrels a day versus 3.5 million for the U.S., according to Wood Mackenzie, a consulting firm. So, I mean, we can write all this stuff down if you want to. We can chart it. They're giving us some wicked stuff. Now, this is also the Wall Street Journal. Quick lesson here. It's 7 minutes and 35 seconds past the hour. I'm attempting to just read you a story, but that story is written already with some kind of subconscious or even conscious bias in mind. So this isn't incredibly balanced, but I'm not too worried about that yet. I don't know if I have time or energy or desire to read the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, which would probably be a fair way to do it, and I may do that. It depends. I have to investigate something right now. Okay, understandable. But anyway, let's continue the article here. Check this out. At that rate, it's, meaning China's OPEC imports will surpass America's on an annual basis for the first time this year. India ranked number 3 at about 3.4 million barrels a day. So there's tons of information we have here that we're going to put up on the Global Energy Rainbow. This will be easy as shit to do. It's right here. In 2004, the U.S. imported about 5 million barrels a day from OPEC, and China imported about 1 million. That was in 2004. Their growth is strong. An OPEC official declined to say whether China is now the bloc's top customer. I love it. Of course they're not going to say. China's imports have surged in recent years from OPEC nations such as Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and the United Arab Emirates. Maybe it's Arab, who knows? I'm sure I just did something awful there. According to Chinese customs data, wicked. Saudi Arabia, boy, they pump it out, don't they? See, we're just weaving this glorious blending of humanity and capitalism and tragedy and glory and potential, and it's all just emerging, and really the energy markets basically demonstrate that this is just one huge unfurling, that everything from your individual existence to the existence of communities or of solar systems, it all basically sort of unfurls, and the free will that you engage, which, by the way, we've always believed here at the Transparent Barrel should lie on the spectrum of disorder, schematic, if that's the right word. But the free will you exert is really sort of moving left and right as you are basically hurled through time and space. Pretty wicked, and the energy markets, I don't know if they prove that, because I don't even know what that means, but we'd have fun trying to pretend like they may prove that. So there's a touch of absurdity for you. I promised you you'd have a little absurdity here on the Transparent Barrel. And there it is, at 10 minutes past the hour. Okay, let's go ahead and let's continue reading this article, because it's really pretty amazing. China's imports have surged. Yeah, right, go fuck yourself. That was spelled PH, by the way, kids. PHUCK. China is trading places with the U.S. by some other measures as well. Wicked. Let's see. The U.S. is still number one in crude imports from all the world. I fucking love it. Spell PH. But new data from the U.S. Energy Information Administration show China has slightly overtaken the U.S. in net oil imports, defined as total liquid fuel consumption minus domestic production. I'll never repeat that again, by the way. China's net imports were 6.3 million barrels a day in September versus U.S. net imports of 6.24 million. That's EIA data, which is U.S. Energy Information. I can't keep up with all this shit, and that was spelled S-H-I-D. The U.S. energy production boom has helped push down its net import figure. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. We're importing less because we're making more at home. Cooking it up. And China will soon import more from the Persian Gulf than the U.S. did at its 2001 peak. Wicked. According to EIA and Chinese customs data, China, surpassed the U.S. as a buyer of Persian Gulf crude in 2009. China's rise as a dominant buyer of Middle East oil presents a conundrum for it and the U.S. Oh, I tell you what, my friends, they've got some good reporters here. These are very well written, even if there is some bias, whatever's going on inside our heads. Which, by the way, at 11 minutes past the hour is a great reminder. That's one of the goals of the Transparent Barrel here at Energy Boot 101, at the Transparent Barrel, the podcast, is to attempt to illuminate the chasm betwixt brain and bean. There you go. You can trademark that one. China's rise as a dominant buyer of Middle East oil presents a conundrum for it and the U.S. For China, it means its economy depends in part on oil from a region dominated by the U.S. military. When tankers depart Persian Gulf terminals for China, they rely in significant part on the U.S. Fifth Fleet policing the area. Folks, this is all really, really good stuff. We can literally just track, and it'll be fun as shit, like a huge risk game. For Washington, China's oil thirst means justifying military spending that benefits a country many Americans see as a strategic rival and that frequently doesn't side with the U.S. on foreign policy. Wicked, here comes the showdown. Signs of tension are surfacing. But here's the good news. By the way, here's my huge editorial. This has nothing to do with this article. I'm saying it right now because I really believe this. The next war really won't be fought with guns or tanks or any of that. And poor General Patton's going to have to kiss it goodbye. The glory's gone because the wars are now being fought with capitalism. And that's just all there is to it, is the way it looks to me. And China's so far doing a damn good job by employing 3 really large national oil companies that are all publicly traded, that they can use as variables of influence on their state-run economy, while at the same time gaining profit because of capitalism. And there's a blend that's going on. So I really don't think that the next war is going to spill a whole lot of blood so much as it may destroy economies. I guess that could spill blood. So in the end, I'm sure it does something bad. But good news is I don't think it'll be fought with guns. Anyway, signs of tensions are surfacing. Beijing has asked for assurances that Washington will maintain security in the Persian Gulf region, as China doesn't have the military power to do the job itself, according to people familiar with recent discussions between the countries. Wow. Talk about some wicked fucking levers popping up all over the world. Now, at this point, I would like to counsel everyone to continue to enjoy a peaceful existence of compassion as we get a little excited about what's going on in the global energy rainbow that's inside of it lay a global energy chess match, and it's right here. It's really easy just to slowly jot down and figure out. I mean, hell, we're not even 15 minutes into this mofo, folks, so spare yourself the agony. I'm dying here. Signs of